Hey, what's up, New Bedford? Welcome back to another week of Straight to the Point Sports with my man D Con.
What up? What up? What up, people?
Yeah, we got a few topics to hit this week, so we hope you join us and offer your rebuttals. So a couple of topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that big Vikings win last week.
Yo, what? I'm so angry at myself because I had the greatest setup for you, and I slept on it. What?
Well, you should see all the stuff I got to delete out of my phone that I couldn't post that we're on. Hopefully they'll be in the playoffs, and then I can use them.
I'm gonna tell you what my plan was. My plan was to go out and get a purple T-shirt and have my boy that does my shirts put 5th seed on it, and with a little Viking in the corner. But I totally.
I had all the Lions mainstays, and it says 5th seed, and they're all holding up the sign.
So,
but I was dying to post that one, and
I slept on that, so I guess I'll let you live for now.
Yeah, well, I almost died last week anyway. I don't understand. The first half was missed opportunities, and the game was close. And the second half, it was like we just gave up.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold started seeing ghosts again.
I know what it is. We just started in the second half. We actually got some pressure. In the first half, we wasn't getting that much pressure.
The returning linebacker had a lot to do with that. But that guy that played against the cornerback that played against Jefferson was a big factor too.
And there's some history to that.
Yeah, they've been playing since high school.
Yeah, they've been playing
college.
Yeah.
So he's a little familiar. Maybe was comfortable.
And normally he's our nickel back, but with our other cornerback going down, we had to throw him in. You know what I mean? And actually, he did a great job.
Hey, Charlie Perry. It's always Cape Verdean time. You know that. Jesus.
The time we start, the time we hit the button to start.
Here on downtown time, it just got to be 6 o'clock. So we're a little different than East Coast Standard Time.
Yeah. But anyways.
But what was the key to the success? If you ran it down, why did Detroit dominate in the second half?
Our offensive line wore down your defensive line.
I think you scored touchdowns and we couldn't get past field goals. Yeah. And then we tried to take a page out of your book.
Yeah.
We kept getting down there and going for it and walking away with nothing.
Not taking the 3.
We either got the 2 threes or we got the 2 missed opportunities. We got 0.
Yeah. And I know we had a little controversy about the safety. In my opinion, I don't think it was a safety because there was 2 eligible. But the only thing that in my opinion that might have made me think it should have been a safety is an offensive lineman knocked the ball out. But Jameer Gibbs was right there and the tight end was right there.
They weren't nowhere in the vicinity. That was obviously.
You better go look at it again.
I did.
Because the guy that went and hit Goff, Jameer Gibbs was
because it was the exact same play that they did call it on when Donald did it later. They called both of us for the same. It's just after yours was a safety.
But Jameer Gibbs was right there.
That's what you say, but it didn't really turn out to be a vital point of the game.
But yeah, anyways, instead of getting 2, you got 3 that because he ended throwing a pick and you guys were right there. So you got 3 points out of it instead of 2.
Pretty much. But since you wanted to mention Mr. Jameer Gibbs, I recently just stopped having nightmares. First, I thought they were going to be just of you, but
hey man,
Jameer Gibbs.
Is special.
The only thing I kept feeling like it was still fantasy football season. I had him, and I won a championship when I had him. And I was like, well, at least it was getting. Wait a minute, fantasy football ended last week. I don't need this clown scoring once, twice, 3 times a lady, 4 times. I was like, Jameer Gibbs. I know there was some controversy or a little doubt in my mind how he would hold up with the everyday pounding. And he ran inside, he ran outside, he caught the ball out of the backfield.
What people fail to realize is he did that in college. There was no platooning in college when he was there. He was the main guy.
No, but do you remember who his wide receivers were? One of them was his teammate.
Yeah,
they had so many, you didn't know what to prepare for back when he was in college. So they didn't kill you with the ground. I think Detroit's a better team when they have that dominant ground game because you have to guess.
Yeah.
How are we going to stop them if they were one-dimensional?
Yeah. No, definitely. Charlie, I truly thought it was going to be a tight game. Last team with the ball was going to win.
You're not the only one, Charlie.
Honestly, and I'm sure everybody. I know. Me being an avid Lions fan, I thought it was going to be a lot closer than what it was. When it started to get,
and it was like that in the first half.
Yeah, when it started to get.
And both teams,
I finally started breathing. I ain't gonna lie.
You know how both teams were taking chances, and you guys do it on a regular basis. And I felt like we felt the need to do it to score points because we weren't converting in the end zone or we were turning the ball over. In the red zone.
But it was early.
Yeah,
it was early when he started going for it.
Right. What I was going to say to that wasn't it the beginning of the second half when you went for it on 4th down and scored the touchdown with Gibbs? Or was that in the first half? He went for it 4th and goal from the 8 or something like that.
It was from the I want to say it was from the 3.
Maybe because he dropped back, it seemed longer. But he hit him over to like a middle screen, and then Gibbs ran through the.
No, what it was is he came out of the backfield. The linebacker on that side blitzed, and the other guy, the safety or whatever it was that was supposed to be covering Gibbs, bits it outside, and he just cut it straight up the seam, and boom.
I don't know, man. I was all hyped up, all excited for that game, and it just took the steam out of my sails to see self-destructing in the first half. And then I felt like it affected our confidence going into the second half, whereas you guys started picking up momentum. Yeah. And then once it got to be a 2-score game, Donald really started to look different in the pocket. He missed Hawkinson way over his head. He missed Jefferson. And they tried to force the ball to Jefferson too much. I was like, Addison's been playing so well.
Addison had 1 catch for 0 yards.
And probably only 1 pass attempt to him.
He had 1 catch for 0 yards. I'm like, what the hell? No, he had a couple because I remember one being knocked out of his hand. But 1 catch for 0 yards. That's crazy. What's up, Joe? How you doing, brother? Good luck with the Steelers this weekend. Let me just double check on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was just looking to see something on last week's games if I could find it, but
give me a second, bro. I got you.
But I was wondering why it seemed like every big play, all those red zone trips, they were forcing on. He missed Jefferson one time, but he threw in the double coverage. That defensive back knocked down a few of them, but it felt like there was no mystery to where Donald was going. He locked in on Jefferson, made up his mind that he was going to him.
He had 6 targets.
For the whole game? Yeah, but I bet you 5 of those were in the second half. In the first half,
I didn't even see him in the first half, to tell you the truth.
No. In the first half, it felt like every single play where we attempted a pass was targeting Jefferson. And if we could see it, Detroit could see it. And then they just started shading Jefferson, and then the other guy was playing good on him. And I was like, what's going on with Addison? What's going on with Hawkinson? Naylor had more catches than what you got in the first half.
Listen, I'll tell you, I'll read out the numbers. Jefferson, 3 catches, 54 yards. Naylor, 3 catches.
This is for the game?
Yep.
3
catches, 53 yards. Aaron Jones, 5 catches, 30 yards.
All short stuff.
Josh Oliver, 2 catches, 16 yards. TJ Hawkinson, 2 catches, 9 yards. Cam Akers, 2 catches, 4 yards. Jordan Addison, 1 catch, 0 yards.
For the whole game.
For the whole game. This is the whole game. That stats for the whole game.
Because I thought before you read that, you said, no, Addison had a couple of catches. I said, it must have been in the second half.
He had a couple of targets. He had 6 targets. But, yeah, that's crazy.
Addison's been playing way better than to only get that many targets. Because you didn't make them have to play on it. We made Detroit's defensive backfield a lot more effective by only targeting Jefferson, and he didn't even try to target anybody else.
And what kills me is, like, your receiving core is really great. Don't get me wrong. I like it. If it wasn't in my division, I would probably support it a little bit more. But we play man-to-man defense 65% of the time.
That's easy to beat.
I know.
You only got to beat one guy. We couldn't figure out a way.
65% of the time. I don't know, man.
I don't think it was the coaches. I thought Sam Darnold
18 for 41.
just regressed in this one game. I still think, he'll play better, but I think he might bring up those doubts again. He had gotten all those bad thoughts and history out of his head. Everything had been going with the right momentum, but when he did start targeting other people, he was missing them badly. He had Hawkinson twice, once over the middle. The ball sailed over his head. Why did the ball sail over his head, Derek? What happens when you miss over somebody's head?
You don't follow through.
And why can't you follow through? Because
Pressure.
too much pressure. So pressure is his biggest adversary.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can get
And
pressure.
well, there was a lot.
He was only sacked.
Because our old friend that you guys got to come in, Zadarius Smith, had a lot of pressures, and he had a sack.
Yeah, one sack.
But he was in the backfield causing havoc a lot.
Yeah.
And the guy that replaced your nose tackle, he got pressure up the middle a couple of times. Whenever you make Sam Darnold move his feet, he doesn't follow through and he throws high. And he threw high to Jefferson. He threw high to Hawkinson.
Muhammad played. Did he play tackle? Yeah, maybe. But Muhammad had a sack as well. Like, there wasn't too much, like on the quarterback hits, we had only 10.
What about Anzalone? I thought I saw, well, he was in coverage more because he was locking up Hawkinson.
Yeah, we wasn't trying to throw him on blitzes and stuff because of his armor.
Mm.
So
I was just wondering if he was part of the backfield, getting in the backfield, but
he had 7 tackles.
He was on a bunch of pass breakups to the tight ends.
Only one pass deflection. That's crazy. He had 1 QB hit. He might have blitzed once. But even Kirby Joseph had a QB hit.
So
he was quiet. Him and Branch were pretty quiet.
Detroit, but the pressure wasn't as bad the first time around we played yous. But did we play yous? Were you our first loss?
Yes.
So we played you before the Rams.
Yeah.
So I was going to say maybe so the second time around, I think you took a sign out of the Rams playbook because the Rams came with that young defensive line. They were pressuring left and right. And Sam Darnold was doing the same thing in that game that he did in the second game against you guys.
Yeah.
And it was like a micro copy. It was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. The same. It was like watching us against the Rams all over again, and you guys did it very effectively.
Charlie, did you bang your head? He's not an MVP candidate. I'm sorry. I don't mean that.
No, he has to be considered. He might be like the 5th guy, but he has to be in the talk of it only because of what he's done.
5th guy.
He was 14-3.
Over who?
Well, the first 5 would have been like Lamar and Allen.
Allen.
Maybe Joe Burrow, even though he didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
Barkley.
Burrow, Barkley.
All right.
You would think
around the top 5.
You would put him.
I wouldn't put him above any of those.
You'd put him above Goff.
Yeah.
Why?
Because his numbers were better than Goff.
No, they weren't. None of his numbers were better than Goff. Not passing yards, not completions, not wins,
None of them.
not touchdowns.
You sure about that?
I'm positive. None of them.
I think because nobody expected Donald to play on that level. So to get off the scrap heap and put forth that type of effort when you were an afterthought, nobody else made an offer to Sam Donald. And I think somebody else did, but they wanted to give him chump change. And when Minnesota gave him $10 million, everybody was like, damn, for him? That's the best spent $10 million.
Yeah,
ever. But regardless if he was an MVP, he was in the conversation because he performed better than what anybody gave him credit for.
He definitely had a great season.
And
did you see what my man, my new Detroit Lion guy has to say to you? Did I miss where you tell Steve how our team whooped his?
Oh, the new Lions fan. Well, Keith, I hope you have on your turquoise and silver or whatever color you want to call that. As I don't remember being a Lions fan before this week, but since you don't have a team to root for anymore, I guess just jump on the bandwagon. Decon's opened up a few extra seats, man. You got some recliners on that bandwagon.
Keith, I'll always have a seat for you, buddy.
Charlie Perry, even 5th or 6th, ESPN ranked him like that. I just knew he was in the conversation. I typically only believe there's 3 or 4. I think the 2 quarterbacks and Barkley have to be the leading candidates. Even Derrick Henry was up there for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
what did he have? 1,900 yards? Like, come on, that's crazy.
he just seemed like he faded a little bit. He started off so good at the beginning of the year. I was like, Baltimore's going to be unstoppable.
Since breath soda.
When you just reborn, huh? Is that what you went to? When you go to church and you get reborn? Is that what happened? You got baptized last week? Some holy lion water baptized him?
He's a virgin again.
All right, Keith, we're going to give you that. Remember, speaking of this game, well, there's other games, but just to touch upon this fact, you know what was interesting when we secured the 5th spot and we got matched up against the Rams in the first round? We're going to be the only team.
Hold on, before you say that, and this is the funny part. I hope it, in a way, I hope it don't work out like this. But when you guys were undefeated, you lost to the Lions. Your very next game, the Rams.
And who's the next 2 games?
That's what I'm saying.
We're going to have, our schedule is against the only teams that we lost to. What an omen. We lost to Detroit twice and we lost to the Rams once. We only got 3 losses.
Yeah.
So no matter how the playoffs go for us, if we win our first game, we still have to go and play another team that beat us. We didn't lose to nobody else in the league except Detroit and the Rams. And Lord and behold, who's in our lane if we go to the playoffs? Yeah.
Well, the same can be said for Green Bay, too, if you think about it. Green Bay's lost to us twice. They lost to you twice. They lost to, and the other loss is to Philly. If Green Bay plays Philly, if they beat Philly, they play us.
Yeah.
But they have to beat Philly, and you have to beat the Rams.
Yeah. But were there any other games besides our game? Because there was a couple others that settled. Like I was rooting for Cincinnati to win, because everybody else lost except.
But I knew KC was.
Detroit threw in. KC threw in the towel. Denver looked
they didn't
crazy against their 4th string.
Denver won what 38-0.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but every other factor fell into place for them to win.
Yeah.
The Colts lost.
No game shocked the hell out of me, and it pretty much knocked them out of the playoffs was the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta hasn't been playing that well, and they were experimenting with a new quarterback. Carolina,
they put up points. They just couldn't stop them.
Yeah, but that's the downfall on Atlanta. They spent all their money on the offensive line and their running back and their wide receivers, but they don't have anything on defense. They traded for Matthew Judon. They got a all-pro defensive back, but they need a lot more help stopping. They need somebody to stop the running game and somebody else to apply. They don't have a defensive end to apply pressure. I wish
I saved it, but there was a fact on one of the NFL sites that I seen today. What the hell's his name now? Hutchinson. Got knocked out in week 5 against the Cowboys with 7.5 sacks, right?
He's still leading Detroit.
Yeah.
I saw that get announced during the game. They showed him on the sideline.
But he finished with more sacks than Bosa.
Bosa was hurt up and down. Which one? The one in San Fran?
Yep. Khalil Mack.
I don't think Khalil Mack had as good a year this year. Age is starting to catch up with him. He was regressing.
I know the guy from the Raiders ended up getting hurt, but he got hurt.
Matt Crosby. For the amount of games that he played, he was still outperforming a lot of people who played significantly more games.
I forget who else, but I'm just looking at that. I'm like, yo, there was a lot of big name guys that are demanding.
I remember the story. Yeah, Keith, we were talking about that maybe right before you chimed in that once Detroit applied the pressure, the happy feet led to him overthrowing a lot of wide open people. And I mean, the Hawkinson one, I didn't even see a defender close by within 5 yards. And I was like, ball's 4 feet over his head.
And there was one to Jefferson where Amik Robinson took the inside and he cut it outside and threw it over his head.
That has to be very frustrating.
Yeah.
And, the other thing I'm going to credit that to, since we went back to this, it really showed how much we missed Darisaw. We were able to win without him a little bit, but he would help slow down some of that pressure. you know, a half a second to a second in the NFL was huge.
Yeah.
But the replacement, Cam Robinson, has been a sift. Everybody's been going, like, he started off good, but that's why Jacksonville benched him, and that's why he became available to Minnesota. We tried to revamp him. He got in the first couple of games. We were able to hide his flaws. But boy, the last 2 or 3 games, he's been giving up pressures. He's been giving up sacks. He's been out of position. He's looked slow trying to go against the speed rush, getting overpowered. He's not going to be the answer. Next year, Darrisaw for a full recovery, but I'm fully open. We draft more depth at the offensive line because the rest of the guys on the line, besides Darrisaw and O'Neal, are marginal. And O'Neal can't block everybody on both sides. So Darrisaw's on his other side. And it just seemed like, especially last game, that the pressure was very apparent and it was affecting Donald's.
So, since I got you here, we're on this. What do you want Minnesota to do with that quarterback position next year?
I want us to tag Donald and keep McCarthy. Though there's a lot of rumors that teams have already started calling, inquiring about, depending if we get another #1 pick for that, because our pick is going to be at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
If we get a top 10 pick and we can take one of the top 10 offensive linemen, like somebody that's the second or third offensive lineman in the draft in the top 10. So if so, let's, because the draft, it's only 2 good quarterbacks coming out in the draft that are capable of starting for a franchise right away.
Yeah.
After that, trade for McCarthy, trade for Cousins. Somebody might take a chance on Daniel Jones. And remember, we got Daniel Jones on our roster. I'm all right with making him the #2 pick since we got him for cheap money. I mean, the #2 quarterback. If we can get a first round for McCarthy.
He's a jerk. I'm sorry. Jeffrey Correa, you're not right.
What seed of the Giants, sir?
The
midgets? What was?
I didn't get that shirt in time, man. I didn't get that shirt in time. But yeah, no, that's interesting because obviously JJ hasn't played it down, but
we don't know what we have in him.
Yeah,
Donald's shown that he can be more than adequate. How do we let him get out the building? And we don't know what we got in McCarthy. That could set us back if McCarthy shows he can't handle it.
Does it all depend on how he performs in the playoffs?
I think he has to look decent in the playoffs. I have to think for the majority of the season, I was happy with him.
Yeah.
But if pressure is going to be the stereotype that we give him, I think that'll be in his head forever. Every time there's a big game, every time there's a playoff, he can't get it done. Then he'll stop believing the hype, and who knows?
But that's his MO right now.
Well, he's never been in the playoffs before Minnesota.
But his MO is.
Well, who was the other team that put a lot of pressure on him?
The Rams.
Who we play this week?
The Rams.
So we went from Detroit to the Rams. He struggled with both of them in the regular season, but he didn't struggle with Detroit as much the first time. But the second time, it was very apparent. If he struggles against the Rams again,
I think this is the first.
That reputation or stigma is going to chase him around.
I think this is the first time Detroit's ever held JJ to less than 100 yards.
Part of that, I think it's a combination of the defensive back that was familiar with him, and the other part was the inaccuracy of the quarterback. Because there was several times that he was open and the ball just in the end zone. Yeah. That wheel route you were talking about.
We haven't talked about the Steelers yet.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. But were there any other games this week before? Because that all affected the playoff seedings. But you said you were surprised by the Atlanta game.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any other.
That knocked Atlanta out. Atlanta had a chance of getting the Bucks.
Yeah,
they would have won that.
And we would have played Atlanta instead of the Rams had
Yeah, pretty much. All the other games was like
because Atlanta would have been the 4th seed.
Oh, let's just touch upon this real quick. I know whatever about these coaches and all that, but what do you think about New England beating the Bills to lose that #1 pick?
Where have we seen that before? When head coaches' jobs are on the line and players don't like to lose on purpose because they're playing for new contracts.
Yeah.
They're hoping to, get better situations next year, and they're playing for pride. So I understand ownership and management saying We want to do what's best for the team, but the players still want to win. And if Mayo, I think the writing was on the wall. I think he felt he was going to get fired.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I'm going to say I got 4 wins with a scaled down team with no wide receivers, no offensive line. You know, he had no skill players.
Yeah, none.
The agreement was supposed to be, this is a learning year. We're not expecting nothing. We're going to build from here. They didn't go out and get him no free agents last year, right? They messed up in the draft because they traded down in the draft to the Chargers. You know who the Chargers drafted with that pick? Somebody who could have helped the Patriots. Lad McConkey. And then the Patriots went and got what's his name in the second round. He's been a disappointment, the wide receiver. They took 3 picks later. Who was the rookie for them? From Washington, Polk. James Polk.
Did he even play?
Yeah, but he didn't make a difference. He didn't get consistent playing time because he couldn't earn it because Butte, the kid from LSU, stepped up this year, and they had another veteran there for a little while that was doing all right. I forgot who, but he couldn't crack regular playing time. So Patriots management whiffed during the offseason, but they don't want to take responsibility. Everybody wants to give in to the fan frenzy. Now, from what I'm being told too, and I can't prove it, there was a lot of dissension in the locker room. There was a lot of players who didn't respect what Mayo did on the offensive side of things. The offense was frustrated, and the defense lost a step. They weren't as good as they had been in the past. They were decent.
They didn't have that pass rusher that went to
They traded you. What did Mayo trade him?
No.
So I think the Patriots started playing for early picks early in the season. They purposely didn't add no talent. They figured they'd get a top 5 pick again, and they would get a difference maker. And they had the number 1 all sold up, and Mayo was like, "Big F you,"
Yeah.
because I know what's.
As you said,
Oh,
Charlie's foot.
Charlie's always trying to be like me. Charlie always wants to say what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's like you both said Sam Donald MVP.
And that's why I think if we transition into the head coaching firings, it was the quickest firing to end the season. 45 minutes later, he was fired. And I think that was the last straw. Like, are you serious? You're going to cost us the number 1 pick. And he was like, I ain't going to be here anyway.
Yeah.
So as a parting gift, here you go, Robert Kraft. Here you go, New England. And he also showed the rest of the league, I got 4 wins with this type of roster. Could anybody else have done that?
No. That's why. That's, in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why they got rid of Bill, because Bill couldn't do it.
Now, I'm sure Charlie's going to agree with this, and I hope, Charlie, what happened when the Red Sox didn't spend money and let our stars walk and didn't put a good product on the
He
field?
went to the Dodgers. That's what.
Right.
Was.
I think a lot of Patriot fans, especially the ones of color, have to look at this more than just football. Everybody in the world knows the fan base wants Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, if he got the job, if he had the same record next year with another number 1 draft pick, he's not going to get fired in 1 year. They're going to have more patience with him. Why is it that not only Mayo, but if we look at what happened with the Raiders, carbon copy situation. Once they traded Devontae Adams and their quarterback was hurt, they didn't go out and get another quarterback. They started the season with O'Connell and they traded for Minshew. Hi, 2 career backups and they're fighting to start. And then you wonder why Adams got frustrated. The only bright light besides Crosby on defense was their tight end. But the tight end's not enough to win on your own. He had a great year, but imagine the year he would have had if he had a solid quarterback and a solid running game. So how ironic that the 2 coaches that were fired so quickly had mirrored situations. They both played for franchises that did nothing to help them win. And they both happen to be minorities. I personally have been saying for a while, minority coaches don't get the same long chain or commitment, and they don't get second chances. But the good old boy system, some of these coaches, some of the white coaches, they continue to get second and third and fourth opportunities. But with the black head coaches, they get that 1 opportunity. And if they get fired, they never get hired again. It's very rare that we see a young black coach get his first opportunity. And it was just so easy for New England to cut ties with Mayo after 1 year. That's no commitment, because I'm sure they told him at the beginning of the year, we know you don't have a lot to go with. We're going to rebuild. You're going to get another top pick next year. I feel like they lied to him.
They told him that.
Vrabel sat out the whole year.
They told him that they were going to give him an opportunity because they knew that.
And that's what I think, is that they lied to them. So I feel the way Charlie felt about the Red Sox. Oh, Milton. Yeah, good call, Charlie. Milton was him and Mayo both said the hell with that, because Milton's like, I can get a free agent contract to go somewhere else next year. Somebody might come and trade for me, because he looked damn good.
He sure did. Powerful, strong arm.
If nothing else, he solidified himself as an adequate backup, no questions asked. So you have insurance, 2 young quarterbacks. If something happens to Drake May, you can put Milton in.
Yeah.
But some other team, and I forgot to mention it when we talked about this earlier, we said very weak quarterback class. A lot more than 2 teams need quarterbacks. So whoever doesn't get their quarterback, you got to go rob somebody's roster. It's either going to be a Cousins, a McCarthy, or a Milton now.
Yeah. So
Milton might be a lot cheaper because he was, what, a 4th-round draft pick?
Something like that.
So he doesn't have guaranteed big money. They can buy him out from the Patriots or trade for him. Now, the Patriots might get a 2nd-round pick for him after spending a 4th round. That's quality, too, especially if it's a team who has an early 2nd-round pick. This draft is going to be deep, just not at quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think Milton and Mayo had the most to play for in this game. And we saw what Milton could do. He didn't really get a chance during the season. Matter of fact, didn't they, when May got hurt, didn't they bring in somebody else first? They brought in Brissett.
Yeah,
I think Brissett's gone.
Brissett was the backup.
Yeah, he won't be there next year.
Brissett was the backup.
I think they'll probably try to keep Milton, but I'm not happy with the way the Patriots did business. I think it was an ultimate insult. And even though I'm a Vikings fan, I root for the Patriots if they're not playing the Vikings. Same thing as in basketball.
Really?
I'm a Milwaukee fan, and I'll root for the Celtics if they're not playing Milwaukee.
You root for the Patriots?
The hometown team, you kind of just but I've lost that respect because I lost respect for Kraft with the way he handled the Mayo thing. I think as a man, he lied to Mayo and then tried to find a scapegoat to make himself look good. Now, if Vrabel gets the job, I don't care how many people they bring in to interview and how many people they're saying Vrabel interviewed with the Bears today and, a couple of other teams. I think it was predetermined that the Patriots was, if you watch the highlights, they were screaming Vrabel's name. We want Vrabel, But do you think the Patriots could have handled it differently?
As an organization, of course they could.
Do you think Mayo deserved to be fired?
No, he didn't. He had nothing to work with,
and that's my point.
And you didn't even really give him a chance.
And I think there was some gentleman's agreement before the year. I tell you, don't worry about it. We're going to build it. You're our man going forward.
Yeah, that's
one bad year where you don't have nothing to work with. This is the worst Patriots roster talent-wise I've seen in a while.
When he got hired, on an interview, they told him, if I'm not mistaken, they told him, "Don't worry, we understand what's going on. We're going to work with you. We're going to get you.
They did. But you also know what happened before that. Kraft backtracked and let everybody else know what we suspected before. When Belichick was on the way out, Mayo was getting a lot of calls for head coaching positions elsewhere. And in order to keep him, he had to make a private agreement that he would succeed Belichick. He said so exactly in his press conference. I made a commitment. I think I was premature because I was afraid that we were going to lose Mayo. And I have a great relationship with Mayo from the time he was a player through his coaching experiences. And I felt I owed him to give him a chance. And I just feel like I made the wrong mistake because I reacted on emotion. He backtracked because Mayo should have been the coach.
Yes.
And Mayo should have had a chance to get a few more groceries on that team before you would. How can you evaluate any coach? I would put any coach on the Patriots and say they wouldn't have won more than 4 games. Any coach out there, what can you design with that type of offense?
You can't do nothing with nothing.
You know what I think? The only thing I blame Mayo for getting himself fired? Winning game 1 against the Bengals. They weren't supposed to win that game. But if they lost that game, they would still have the #1 pick. and if they still had the number 1 pick, I still think they would have fired him. I think the Patriots fan base has made it quite obvious that they want Vrabel, and Kraft was afraid of playing in front of half-filled stadiums. That stadium was not filled last week.
No.
And that gives the Patriots hope if they bring in a new coach and then they get another high draft pick. But
what pick did they end up getting? They
4th.
4th pick.
Which, if they were looking at Travis Hunter, they could still get him. But if they had number 1, they could have traded down to 4, did what Chicago did, got another draft pick.
We got Jeffrey asking. So what do we think can happen with the Giants situation when they're there?
The Giants, I heard this yesterday. The Giants will probably look for a veteran quarterback and take the best talent. And they're talking about Travis Hunter to pair him with Malik Neighbors. So that they got
at number 3.
Neighbors was a beast with horrible quarterbacking this year.
Yeah.
So if what's anticipated is teams are going to trade up to take the quarterbacks, it might not be the 2 teams that are at the top now, but
we have the Titans at number 1.
And they need a quarterback, so they might take one.
You don't think they're going to try and stick with Will Levis?
No, because he's probably a career backup. He's not mobile.
So if I'm the Titans, if I'm the Titans, right, and then there's two quarterbacks in this draft that are pretty good,
and they're saying Cam Ward is their choice.
If I'm the Titans, I am trading down with the Giants
because you're not going that far
for this year's pick and next year's number 1. If the Giants want,
you have to take that if you get that type of offer.
If the Giants want that pick, whatever, but they want.
But the Giants need a lot more than just a quarterback too.
But
so do they want to risk that type of draft capital? Because you get one guy, but then the cupboard runs bare in draft picks later.
All right, so then the Giants tell you no. You know what I do? Hey, New England, you want this number 1 pick?
New England's not going to pay for that. What would New England do with the number 1 pick? They don't need a quarterback. It's going to be a quarterback needy team that takes the 1 or 2 pick.
New England needs that Travis Hunter guy.
He'll be there at 4.
Not if the Giants.
First 2 teams, no matter who they are going to take quarterbacks.
Not Cleveland. You think Cleveland's going to take a quarterback? Deshaun Watson just took a pay cut.
Yeah. No, he didn't take a pay cut. He restructured his contract so that less money affects their cap hit.
Yeah, well,
because all his money's guaranteed.
Yeah.
So they converted it into a signing bonus that will count less against the cap. So he did help them out. But he's also helping himself out on the back door because he's hurt, and he looks like damaged goods.
And think about it. Jerry Jeudy's. He had a breakout.
He had a really good year.
He had a breakout season.
But you know what I think in the Cleveland situation, they might get rid of Nick Chubb.
He's not helping.
He's making decent money too. I feel so bad because he's a good dude. He's a great player, but he can't stay healthy. And they committed a lot of money to him last year, 2 years ago or something. He got a 4-year contract. I want to say $8 or $10 million a year, but it's one of the probably top 5 running back contracts behind Henry and McCaffrey.
Yeah.
He got paid very well. I think he makes around Josh Jacobs money. But difference is Josh Jacobs stays healthy.
Yeah, he's providing.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
Now, there's another one. I hate to keep bringing, but what do the Las Vegas Raiders do?
They messed up by winning too. They're down to number 8, right?
So down to 6. So if I'm the Raiders, but I don't think anybody wants.
They're one of the teams that might try to trade up.
They're gonna have it.
But if they don't, they'll be one of those teams that go calling for a Kirk Cousins, a JJ McCarthy's rooming to the Raiders, and I said this last week because who's in their ownership group?
The Michigan guy.
The Michigan connection. Tom Brady really believes in McCarthy. Tom Brady worked with McCarthy and Shedeur Stevens this year. So he's going to want one of those 2. Yeah, Charlie, he's tradable, but Cleveland's not going to trade him and have to eat.
They said Watson isn't tradable.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to give the reason why he's not.
No, he's definitely not.
Because who's going to eat that quarterback? Because if they trade him, Cleveland would have to eat that and trade him, which means they're paying somebody not to be there. And then you're going to invest capital into another quarterback. But I heard the Giants were definitely looking to grab an established quarterback because they don't want to waste Malik Neighbors' young years, and that they would draft Travis Hunter and allow him to play wide receiver and what a combination that would be with him and Malik Neighbors. And then they'll still have a high draft pick in the second round, come back and get an offensive lineman because they need more help. Their defense isn't that bad. If you watch the Giants defense, remember they got the kid from Oregon and they got the kid from Carolina that came over to them this year. Their defensive ends are good.
Yeah.
They could get they could go defense if they want, but they need help on the offensive line. And they can grab themselves a running back in the third round.
Yeah.
So it depends on how smart they are, but it's going to be interesting because we still got the NFL combines to come up. Then we got free agency, and free agency is going to determine whatever needs you didn't settle.
Free agency,
we're speculating.
Free agency definitely going to be big this year for all those teams in the top.
So, we jumped around a little bit, but that was a topic we were gonna go with too. But we have to wait for free agency, the draft combines, and then that'll determine people's exact needs because whatever you didn't get in free agency, you're gonna go after in the draft. But going back to the coaching firings, there's 6 positions available. What's the sexiest job available? Because you're going to lose.
Honestly,
I think this year Ben Johnson leaves. If you're Ben Johnson, where do you go? And Aaron Glenn's like one of the top 3 candidates too. But I think Ben Johnson's the caveat. Where does who wins the Ben Johnson free agency out of the 6 spots that are open?
I'm going to say the Raiders.
Mr. Nobry, what's going on, man? We see you.
I'm going to say the Raiders.
Why?
Because that's where Tom is, and that's who Tom wants.
Ben Johnson?
Yeah.
You would take that job over the Bears job? You already got an offense to work with.
That's in the division. I don't think he wants to be in the division. I think
he wants to go where he'll be successful. Who has the most stuff ready to go right now? A young quarterback, a nice wide receiver core. All he needs is an offensive line and a running back, and he can stop mirroring. Because Detroit, I think Chicago tried to mirror what Detroit did with getting those wide receivers for the young quarterback.
They have the wide receivers and the quarterback.
And they got a tight end.
I don't think they have the line.
Right. No way near, because you got all pros at every position. But they drafted offensive line last year. They can draft offensive line again this year, and they can go out in free agency and that's 3 upgrades in the last 2 years because they did use an offensive lineman pick last year.
But then you got to think of it like this, and I'm not saying.
Last year they got the quarterback and the wide receiver.
I'm saying it like this is
2 years ago.
Yes. Does the Chicago Bears job look good? Sure it does. But do you want to have to deal with the Green Bay Packers that's getting better, Minnesota Vikings that are getting better?
As a first coaching job, that's a lot of pressure because all 3 teams are up on the rise.
Detroit Lions team that's.
But I'm just saying that's an interesting point. But who's ready to win the fastest?
But with that division,
I see the Patriots. I don't know. I can't see them going to the Patriots. They have a lot of work to do.
But yeah, I don't see the Patriots either. But with that division, rather you could be good and really not be that good because that division is going to be so tough.
Okay, the Saints job's open. What does he think about the Saints job?
Saints, in my opinion, the Saints I think they got an old team.
Kamara's
old.
Carr's
old.
They got a nice wide receiver, but he got banged up this year.
Olave,
but they need pieces.
And that defense
is falling
apart as well.
So who else is available? The Patriots,
Raiders,
Bears, Saints, Jets.
Yep.
Who I just heard a couple of interesting things about their camp.
I wouldn't go to the Jets either. Even though
the Jets need a quarterback.
Yes.
Who's a quarterback guru? If they get the right quarterback, they're not going to get him in the draft because they messed around and won because Aaron Rodgers wanted to get the 500 touchdowns and threw 4 touchdowns in the last game.
Charlie Perry, I hear you. Or he could just stay with Detroit.
I just think it'll be a challenge, but I think I wouldn't be afraid of that job just because you already got pieces to work with, and he can already go in there and start scheming. Oh, I got a young Rome Odunze. I got Keenan Allen. I got DJ Moore. I got Cole Kmet. But they need a running back. He doesn't have the running game that Detroit had, and he definitely doesn't have the offensive line. But he has a starting point with more talent than any other team can offer. If he goes to the Raiders, Who's he relying on offense besides Brock Bowers? Who's running the ball? Who's blocking? Who's on the outside? Who is the wide receivers?
You got that young boy from the Patriots, Myers. He's gonna be good. I really can't see anybody else.
So that's why I don't think that job's as desirable. Dayball didn't get fired, so he's still there. Who's the 16? Yeah, I know there's 6 spots open.
We named 5, right?
Yeah. 2 in the AFC, there was the Patriots.
Raiders.
Oh no, Patriots, Jets, and Raiders.
Jets, Raiders.
Then in the NFC, there was the Saints. Wasn't there another interim coach somewhere that didn't get to? Oh, Chicago.
Chicago.
And we're missing one other team. But I don't know. But I think this is the year that
Carolina.
No, Carolina kept their coach, and they've been playing well with the resurgence of Young. Wasn't nobody in our division besides Chicago. Wasn't nobody in Atlanta's division besides New Orleans.
San Fran, Rams.
Seattle.
Arizona.
Yeah, they didn't.
There's only 5 teams, Charlie said.
I know there's 6 teams. But
I'm not sure. Houston, no.
Mm-mm.
Tennessee.
How many head coaching jobs are available in the NFL right now?
Titans? No.
6 job openings.
NBC Sports Boston. Here are the current head coaching vacancies around the league. Black Monday was relatively tame in 2025.
Just get to
Jacksonville.
Damn it! It is Jacksonville.
I'm at Mick. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. So Jacksonville could be a destination because he has Trevor Lawrence there to spearhead the quarter. He has a nice rookie wide receiver. He has the nice tight end.
They have a good defense.
They need Etienne to resurge. They don't have to go after running back, but they need an offensive lineman there.
Yeah.
But they also need a defensive end because they're the ones that lost the defensive end that left and went to Jacksonville.
What are you talking about, Jacksonville?
I mean, went to the Giants.
Ah.
Somebody left in free agency last year. I forgot who it was. But yeah, so Jacksonville. So does Jacksonville, to me, it seems more after the Bears, that seems like the most ready-made team that if they have the right structure, and they got a high draft pick. What does Jacksonville pick?
Jacksonville Jaguars pick at number.
I think they're not in the top 5. I think they're between 6 and 10. 5.
Pick at number 5.
But if they need an offensive lineman or a defensive end, they can get that pick there. Because we know the first 2 are going to trade up for quarterbacks. Whoever picks 1 and 2 is taking quarterbacks.
I didn't realize Jacksonville's got the league's worst defense. So they might go after somebody on defense.
Jacksonville needs help on defense.
Yeah.
But your franchise player is who? It reminds me of the New England situation.
Quarterback.
You got to, and who got hurt this year?
Quarterback.
That's what I didn't want to see, the Drake May happen. So I was glad he didn't play because he came on strong. But he needs to be protected, or you're going to have a quarterback that gets beat up every year. And Lawrence is not a small quarterback either. Neither is Drake May. But there's only so much pounding you can take or expose your franchise. Get that offensive lineman, stick him in there, and protect Lawrence. You can get the defensive end in free agency. Jacksonville's going to have to spend money. New England's going to have to spend money. I don't know if New England needs as much help on defense. If I'm New England, I'm taking an offensive lineman, and then I'm getting a T. Higgins or another number 2 like that to come in and be my number 1. Drake May needs that partner that he can link up to, that his go-to wide receiver. He needs that number 1.
He has.
The Patriots didn't spend no money last year.
Oh, Drake May.
Yeah. So Drake May should go. They should give Drake May, and I don't think there's a wide receiver that's a better option than T. Higgins. So T. Higgins, if you get him in free agency, now you can use your offensive line picks early in the
I
draft.
don't think he wants to go to New England.
If they offer the most money and they make him the number one.
They have the most money to offer.
There was another team I heard him rumored going to, Washington. That Washington would bring him in and pair him with Terry McLaurin for Jaden Daniels. I heard that they're going to pursue him hot this year. Next year.
That would be dangerous.
So I heard those were the two number one options as far as teams that could really use him. I don't know his personal beliefs, like you said. He may not want to go. That happened with Brandon Ayuk. Remember, Patriots tried to get him. Patriots tried to get another big name wide receiver. They didn't want to go to New England for no amount of money, because you're going to be buried.
And not only that, whatever money you get, that stuff gets.
Lawrence needs Ben Johnson. I think he'll benefit from him.
Lawrence needs somebody.
No, but Peterson was supposed to be a quarterback guru.
Yeah.
The first year or two there, Lawrence did great. Then he fell off the bandwagon, and
he's gonna stay healthy. If he can't stay healthy, there's nothing.
Yeah, but he doesn't have an offensive line either.
I know. So
they hit a home run with Brian Thomas last year. Do they gamble and get him another weapon? Or do they gamble and protect Lawrence? And at this point, because of Lawrence getting hurt last year,
Etienne's over there still, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. He has to have a resurgent year, but his backup played well too when Etienne was out. I might try to shop Etienne and try to draft another running back in the third round or fourth round because I forget the guy's name that was his backup, Bigsby. Bigsby didn't play bad, but he got hurt, and then Etienne got put back in the lineup the last 2 games.
Big tank.
Yep. So get him an offensive lineman or get somebody. Jacksonville has to do the same thing in New England. They have to attack either wide receiver or offensive lineman in free agency. And whichever one they don't get determines their draft pick.
Your best bet is to do it free agency because you have guys.
You're talking about Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got to protect their investment, man. You got so much money. You remember, he just signed a new contract, Lawrence. Nothing worse than somebody being hurt and you owe them. Look at Deshaun Watson. You want another situation like that? Somebody gets hurt and you've got all this stuff. Tyreek moves to Jacksonville.
No,
he said he wants to win, and he'll win quicker in Miami. If Tua didn't get hurt, he would have won. He was winning. They were off to a great start. Then he pulled the Antonio Brown.
Ain't nobody gonna want him though. That's the crazy.
Yeah, he's a headache waiting to happen. So, Mig, where's the best move for Ben Johnson? Is it definitely to go to Jacksonville? Would that be your pick? Go to Jacksonville over the Bears? But it's going to be interesting, man.
If Ben Johnson's smart, he just stays in Detroit.
That's what you want him to do. But you're going to be a victim of your own success because every time a team wins, their coordinators become hot. Now, a team, he's saying the Bears. See, I thought so too. It's a tougher job, but it's going to be easier to build that team.
But he's not going to win.
Low payroll.
He's not going to win over there.
He might not win in the division, but he'll win outside the division. You got 6 games in your division. You can still go 11-7 and lose every game in the division and end up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But Glenn's also gone. I just don't think the market's as hot because that's going to be a defensive coach. So which one of those teams want to work on building their defense? Because if you hire Glenn, you better have a strong offensive coordinator. Yeah. So out of the teams is there any teams that are defensive needy? I mean, the Raiders need everything, but I don't know if you want to build around. No. Yeah, you can't drink the water in Detroit.
It's all right. Just stay. You can
bottled water.
Stay out of Flint. I don't know. I can't think of any teams that are already defensive ready. You said defensive needy.
Right, because there's 6 jobs open. Yeah. New England's not going to do it again because they just had a defensive-minded coach. But Vrabel they'll do because he'll get the defense back up to par. But he's also had head coaching experience.
Yeah, Vrabel's already
and went to an AFC Championship game, won a division title. So he's got the pedigree of a successful coach. Without Mayo being there, I think Vrabel should be the next Patriots coach. I just don't like the way they got there doing it. I have no respect. I've lost love for that organization.
What do you think about these old guys that they're interviewing?
Pete Carroll, 73.
Pete
He's gonna be
Carroll,
73.
Rex Ryan, just
Rex
interviewed with
Ryan.
the Jets. Like,
And I even saw an article on Bill Parcells that North Carolina put an amendment into his contract that if he leaves before June and never coach, Bill Belichick, who did I say?
Bill Parcells.
Oh, yeah, he might as well get an interview too. He's around the same age, but they just put something in his contract saying that he gets a bonus if he's still there past June 1st, or he loses X amount of money if he leaves before June 1st. If he stays till after next season, then it's less money. But they're saying he still has one eye on the on getting that record, and if he has the right opportunity,
teams already asked North Carolina to take an interview.
Yeah, because the teams that are interested in him this year weren't interested. They didn't have needs last year, but the teams last year were like, no, because he's going to want to be the only voice. He's going to want to be a Jerry Jones.
Yo, stay off the sideline, because what's going to happen is
they're saying he might go back to the 49ers.
He already interviewed.
Yeah. No, for the defense coordinator job, though, right?
Yeah.
They said they would have no problem bringing him back. They didn't want to lose him in the first place. He left on his own to get a head coaching spot.
If Glenn leaves, you know where he's going right next to Dan. They're going to have the biggest, baddest coaching staff in the league.
That wouldn't be a bad move.
I would love it.
But I also think the sentimental part of going back to the 49ers.
No, I know. You don't want.
But Detroit would be a good if you lost.
They lose Glenn.
Because Sal is not up for a head coaching job, but he'll fill a defensive coordinator position with quickness.
All day long.
And that's his thing.
And that's I would love that. And like you said, guys.
Who's mixed team?
49ers.
Oh, all right. That's why I was like.
And guys want to play for people like that. You know what I mean?
So we got a bunch of new head coaching spots. Time will tell. The draft order, I think we got to wait for the NFL combines. There'll always be somebody that sneaks up the draft boards, like Scatterboo for Arizona State or somebody like that. And once free agency hits, it'll be a clearer picture, and we'll revisit the draft at a later date.
All right. Now we're done talking about all the losers of the NFL. Let's get to the gritty. NFL playoff seedings.
Once again, I think my team has the most intriguing matchup this week, which it should be. A 4-5 game should be the sexiest game in both divisions, in both conferences.
Yeah. So
in that other in the AFC conference, I think that's the Houston and Chargers game, which will be nice too.
Houston and Chargers. That's the first game on Saturday.
That could go either way.
We have the Chargers with a 3-point spread.
They're favored?
Chargers
in Houston?
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, Houston lost Tank Dell. They also lost Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And with those losses, their quarterback Stroud hasn't looked the same.
Nope.
And their defense has been average now. But they had the guy that was suspended. He's back.
The linebacker there.
Yeah, the one that got the late hit.
Yeah.
He's back. And the guy that plays alongside Darryl Stingley, who quietly should have been up there in either not comeback player of the year because he wasn't hurt last year, but maybe defensive player of the year. He should get a couple of votes. I'm not saying but he's had such a great year at that cornerback position. But the kid that was hurt that played alongside Stingley on the other side, he's coming back, and then the linebacker's coming back. And I think those two big additions is huge to that defense.
I think Houston wins this game.
I think because they got J.K. Dobbins back, they got the running game back.
J.K. Dobbins is questionable.
He was questionable 2 weeks ago.
They got him as questionable, and Josh Palmer's out. That's their second lead receiver.
But they got he should have been their third because the kid Quentin Johnson was second.
He was there
to McConkey. I know McConkey was first.
Quentin Johnson was the third. He was disgruntled when Palmer was there and earlier in the season because he was considered a third receiver. But
so those 2 4 or 5 games,
Michi's questionable.
He's somebody I thought could step up and do something because he had that year off.
Yeah.
He got back. He's getting an opportunity now. He has to show his worth because when they're all healthy, he's not breaking that lineup.
Nico Collins he's tough.
Yeah.
He's tough.
That's my guy. Thanks, Nico Collins. He got me to 2 championships
tough, man.
in fantasy this year.
So for that.
Spags is going somewhere. That's another defensive coach. I don't know if the Jets would be that though.
I don't know.
Depends who the Jets get in free agency. Their defense is already good. They need a quarterback, and if they get a young quarterback, they're going to need somebody to develop. They got all the pieces on offense. It's just Rodgers didn't do nothing with it this year. They should have played a lot better than they did, but Rodgers just wasn't the answer there.
All right, let's get off of that. Let's go back to the playoffs.
The 2, 4, 5 games.
So we have the Chargers and the Texans. Well, let's just go with this. We'll go with the Saturday games first. I'm sorry. And then we got the Steelers and the Ravens.
Normally the Steelers have their number, but the Ravens solved it last time.
There's no Flowers.
Yeah.
Flowers is out already.
But there's still Henry. And that's what hurt Pittsburgh when they played them a couple of weeks ago.
But I think Pittsburgh has that defense, though.
They do, but it starts with J.J. Watt. When you got Derrick Henry, you don't have to worry about Watt sacking your quarterback because you're just going to Henry up the middle. Keep running them until you stop. Can you stop Henry? And then Mark Andrews has been coming on lately. Yeah. Bateman has been coming on lately. Zay Flowers is a big loss.
Yeah.
But that means more action for Andrews, more action for Bateman. And you got Henry back there. Now, Baltimore's defense.
Lamar in the playoffs, not too good.
He's home. I'm not afraid of Pittsburgh, and I'm not trying to talk crap against Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is not impressing me as a playoff team right now. They're not playing like we'd expect a playoff team to play. I feel like they're very suspect right now.
I don't know. Only time will tell, bro.
So who you taking in that game? You think Pittsburgh has a chance to upset Baltimore in Baltimore?
No.
So in that game, because you mentioned that being the second game, I'm riding with Baltimore, and not a close victory either, by 10 points or more.
The spread's 9.5, so you would take Baltimore with the spread.
Yep.
All right. What about the Texans and Chargers? I don't remember you saying who you take.
I love the Texans, but I think they're weakened on offense with the injuries at wide receiver. I think if they run the ball with Mixon, because Mixon was having a hell of a season then they got away from it, and then Stroud started throwing the ball more than he had to. If they allow Mixon to run the ball,
Chargers got a good defense.
They do, but Mixon is that change of pace that makes it easier for Stroud to have more time back there. If he goes back there and just looks for Collins all day long, Bosa and Mack and everybody else is going to be applying pressure. If you can just pin your ears back and rush the passer, Stroud's going to be in for a long game. But because it's in Houston, I'm going to give the slight edge to Houston. But I could see the Chargers winning by a field goal. But I think that game's going to be close. I just think the Texans will pull it out.
You got the Texans? I think I'm going to go with the Chargers.
In a close game, or?
Yeah, it's going to be a close game. Yeah. I think Chargers are going to win on the last second field goal with Mr. Dicker.
He's had a solid year.
Yeah.
And then you got Harbaugh as coach. Harbaugh versus
the young guy.
Yeah, so he's only been in the playoffs 1 year. So experience-wise, I don't think Harbaugh gets intimidated. He's great at getting his team motivated. People run through walls for Harbaugh. They did it at Michigan. He did it in San Fran. He'll have his team ready, and they're getting healthy at the right time. Yeah. So their defense, especially the safety, he's been playing really good. You know.
Yeah.
Derwin James. Yep.
He's tough, man. He's tough. So let's go to Sunday.
Yep.
First game, Broncos at Bills.
I have no confidence in the Broncos at the Bills. I think that's a too big a stage for Bo Nix.
What for me, I think the lucky thing for the Broncos is it's a 1 p.m. game and not a night game.
Because it'll be a little warmer.
Oh, well, yeah, it'll be a little warmer.
Yeah. But why? Because of the night game. How do you see that affect
Because of
them?
the cold and the wind. If it was night.
Yeah, and they don't have the running game to fall back on if it's impossible throwing. Now, Denver's defense has been playing all right. They could keep them close.
Denver's got a good defense.
But Allen has found a way to win. Allen can beat you with his arm. Allen can beat you with his legs. And if they if they put too much concentration on Allen, Brooks has shown, and their backup running back, Buffalo has been able to run the ball this year.
Well, Denver's defense ain't that bad.
No, Denver's defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if it gets to be a wind and bad weather game, windy and cold, Buffalo is built better to win in those conditions. So that takes care of those first 3 games.
Wait, who are you going with? You going with Buffalo?
Buffalo, yeah. I said I don't see Denver having a chance in that.
I'm going with the Broncos. I'm going to go because that's my upset. That's my upset of the first round.
Yeah, you're gonna be upset along with the Broncos. All right.
That's going to be. So the next game, Packers at Eagles.
Don't know the health of Jordan Love's elbow.
Or
And Watson's out for the year.
Or the guy that's under center for the Eagles. He's still in the concussion protocol.
No, he practiced yesterday and today. Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday when I was watching, it was CBS Sportsline. I was watching that, and they were talking about it, and he was warming up in the end zone, and then they showed him putting on the red jersey and going out there, and then later that night, because they practiced late, they practiced at like 3 o'clock yesterday or something like that. They showed highlights at like the 6 o'clock Sports Center or 7 of him playing. Then before I came here today, they said he had a full no holds barred practice yesterday and was scheduled to do the same again today because they also had a 3 o'clock practice. So I knew he was at practice today, but I didn't see the reports of how practice went. So how effective he'll be, I don't know. But guess what? He can hand the ball off to Saquon all day, and he can just use Goddard and Brown and everybody else on Philly's healthy. If they can get out to an early lead, they can pull back the reins and coast. But Green Bay, I don't think they're afraid.
Their offense,
but
their offense is good.
Their offense is good. Jacobs has to be exceptional.
I think Jacobs is going to be Jacobs.
But they remember their wide receiver depth took a loss because they don't have that speed guy no more, who was also tall. Watson tore his ACL and MCL and all that. Yeah. So now they're down to Dobbs, Jalen Reed, who I think Jaden Reed has regressed. He started off great, and he's become the forgotten man now.
He needs to step it up.
So now they got Dobbs, him, and Wicks. Yeah. To me, those are a bunch of number 2s. And even though Watson wasn't the number 1, he gave them more of a threat. That downfield. Kraft they have 2 tight ends. Yeah. Kraft has emerged, but they also have Luke Musgrove.
Yeah.
And their defense has been solid.
Yeah.
So I think their defense can challenge Philly, but I think they'll get worn down in the second half because I think Philly got the running game and the passing game. It's just going to be too much to ask.
I just got to keep that quarterback.
If Green Bay can score a touchdown first, so that they're not playing. If Philly comes down and scores too early in the game in the first quarter, first, second drive, it'll be hard for them to play catch up.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. We don't want to depend on Love having to throw with a bum arm, and you're already down Watson. The weather's probably going to be cold. Why?
Yes, he did sign with the Chargers, but I don't know if he's going to get any burn.
Yeah, he's not coming in before Dobbins, and even after Dobbins, they had somebody else that did all right as the backup.
They had a 3-headed monster. I can't remember.
So Green Bay, Philly. I think Philly gets it done.
I'm gonna go
because Green Bay won't be intimidated by the weather or nothing. No. But I just think Philly's going to be if Hurts can start and just be in the game and manage the game, they have enough to support him. They don't have to have him running around. He doesn't have to throw it 50 million times. But you got Mr. Barkley back there.
That's
your arm can be hurt, but it doesn't take too much to turn around and go, here you go. Here you go.
I'm gonna go with the Packers on that one.
Yeah, you just want to be different.
Yes, I do.
You do the same thing with Denver, so I expect.
No, I'm really pulling.
You believe Denver more than Green Bay?
Yeah.
How are you rooting for another team in your division?
Who said I'm rooting?
You said you think they're going to win.
That don't mean I'm
if
rooting.
It was Minnesota, I don't care who they were playing. You would have been like, whoever's playing against Minnesota.
I don't mean I'm rooting.
You're picking them.
It's my opinion.
Okay.
There's a difference.
All right. So you got Green Bay. What's the second game?
Commanders and
that's interesting. That's going to be played in Tampa, so weather shouldn't be a problem.
Commanders at Buccaneers.
I think Jaden Daniels, his confidence is on the rise. If he can have that consistency with McLaurin, they got a nice young tight end over there too. Yeah. And is Zach Ertz with them too?
Yeah.
So they got a young tight end and Zach Ertz. Robinson has to be consistent because I don't think they have Eckler back. But when they had Robinson and
Eckler is back.
all right, that helps him because Eckler's that pass catching specialist.
He was able to come back last game, but I think they held him.
Okay,
that Eckler is back.
John Nobry hates the Packers, but they're
I don't know. I'm going with the Commanders, but
my heart wants to say the Commanders, but
Baker is
Baker and Evans and the other guy, the other rookie from Washington.
Yeah,
We were talking about Polk that didn't do McMillan. He stepped up.
But the running back from Oregon.
Oh, the running back from Oregon too. Yeah, first name starts with a C there. Kirby. I know what you're talking about. Irving.
Yes.
Yep.
He's tough. He is a tough one.
And they also got White.
Yep.
So they got two capable running backs. And who's their
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving. And don't they got a tight end that was doing really good this year?
I'm 88.
Not Cole, something like that though.
Otten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janine, what's going on? Follow my heart, huh? So you want the the Commanders to win too? I want to say the Commanders. I just know that Tampa Bay has been playing well. That's going to be tough in Tampa Bay.
I like that challenge.
Janine, are you going with Washington in that game?
And then the last game of the week we have.
Ooh, I know who that is.
The Minnesota Rams against the
Minnesota Rams.
Los Angeles Vikings. No.
That game's getting moved.
Yeah, to Arizona because of the.
Does that affect the Rams? Because their home base can't. I don't know if the Arizona fans will be rooting for the Rams as much as if that was a home game for the Rams, because the game was supposed to be a home game.
But that messes up everything, because now the Minnesota fans are going to make their travel.
Who's yelling, Charlie?
You.
Yeah.
Janine, you know for the Commanders. So now, but even for the Minnesota fans that are flying into California, now they're going to make transportation to go to Arizona.
That's a very unfortunate situation.
And it's still not sure yet. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's still not sure, because as of this afternoon, they said the game was still in LA.
I already heard they struck a deal, but I don't know if they've moved the game officially. They struck a deal with Arizona.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
they haven't moved it yet. That was the backup.
I have to think the fires are not under control yet.
No.
And the air quality is so bad. Even if they put out the fires, you know how long that smoke and the impurities are going to linger? It's 3 days away. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, 4 because it's a Monday game. I forgot about that. It's a Monday game.
But still.
But yeah, that's gonna be a difficult one. But who are we picking?
I'm gonna go with the Rams.
What a surprise! You went with the Packers, but I was just you're going against every other team in the division except the Vikings. You can root for Green Bay. You can pick Green Bay.
I never said I was rooting for Green Bay.
Why are you taking the Rams? Because they beat them already, and you have that confidence.
Well, they have the experience with their quarterback, their 2 receivers, their running back, and their defense is tough. Like, not for nothing, like their offense is almost like Detroit's in a way. And you guys had a hard time with our offense.
Janine used to be my favorite host around here, but now you moved down in the rankings a little. You're moving down in the rankings with that prediction. You know I'm a Vikings fan, right?
But even like the first matchup, they put a lot of pressure on Mr. Donald.
And that does concern me. The fact that we're playing on the road.
And they're going to do it again.
They were successful with the pressure. But you know what scares me equally as much as the pressure? We couldn't stop Kyron Williams for nothing when we played him the first time.
He's a good running back.
And he's healthy. a lot of people talked about he was undersized coming out of Notre Dame. He has proven to be a solid first level running back. And when you got Puka Nacua and they haven't even used Cup, their tight end starting to come on. Now, with the Rams, I'm not sold on their offensive line because they got a lot of patchwork there. But if Stafford has time, Nakua's been killing people no matter what. And then eventually you're going to pop off Cup because there's going to be so much attention. And then if you're so worried about them guys, Kyron Williams not only runs the ball, but catches the ball.
Janine said saying Ram defense can hold it down.
Their defense, only their defensive line, they're young, but they don't have the greatest linebackers and defensive backfield because we scored on them, no problem. But
yeah, but you guys
when it got down,
no problem, really.
But when it got down to the nitty gritty, because we were scoring on each other, their defensive line was able to pressure Donald when it counted and force down. Remember that pressure also caused us to lose Darisaw because remember we were trying to go for it right before halftime and we were trying to pass.
You lost Darisaw before our game. You had Darisaw.
We lost Darisaw in the Rams game.
Oh. Okay.
I'll never forget it because it was right before halftime and we could have just taken a knee and run out the clock. And the Rams blitzed us and Darisaw was out of position and tried to sidestep and he went down. It was like 28 seconds ago or so.
Oh man, that hurts. I didn't realize.
No, it was that.
I
never forget because we lost him in that game, and that's the game Puka Nacua came back from. Injury, and he killed us that first game back, like 8 for 128 or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, we couldn't miss one more game, even though I had him in fantasy.
He got hurt in week 1 against us.
He was hurt in preseason. Shouldn't have played week 1.
Yeah.
Opted to rest, and when he came back, it wasn't stable enough. And as soon as he went full strength, he got hurt again. He should have been sitting out since the time he got hurt in preseason, but they wanted him to be ready. So you're going to go with the Rams. That game is going to be so tight. I almost feel eerily.
And it's not. There's not going to be no home field advantage.
Yeah, but I feel eerily similar to the game against Detroit because of the way they match up. They can put pressure on like Detroit did. They can score at the drop of a dime on offense. If Kyron Williams has a good game, we lose. More so than their pass rush. Because now they'll mix up. If he can run and then they can mix it up with thank you, Charlie. You just passed Janine as one of my favorite hosts on the show. Because she picked the Rams and you picked the Vikings.
You'll have your linebackers back this game though.
Yeah, Pace wasn't there.
You didn't have him against
or Cashman. We didn't have Pace or Cashman.
That's what I'm saying.
Or Van Ginkel. No, Van Ginkel's back.
Van Ginkel played. But yeah, so Pace is more of a cover linebacker, isn't he?
A cover, but he also puts pressure on the quarterbacks. They blitz him a lot, and he's always in the mix. A lot of the sacks that Van Ginkel and Grenade get is because Pace comes up the middle, and then they have to run right into one of the ends. The ends are coming around, and when you try to escape the pressure up the middle, Grenade or Van Ginkel is right there. Yeah. And Van Ginkel, he almost had one last week, but he's like the most opportunist linebacker I've seen. He'll be 5 yards away and almost intercept it, but it seems like he'll bat the ball to himself. He'll get his hand on the ball and intercept it himself, and he almost had one, which could have been huge. But there was nobody in front of him. But I think he started thinking about running before he secured the ball. So you got the Rams.
Sorry about just.
I'm going to say the Vikings squeak it out, and we win on the last second field goal with our kicker.
I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think either team going to blow it.
No, but I think it'll be high scoring. I thought our game would have been more high scoring, but only one team decided to score.
You guys got a lot of built up offensive energy that you need to let out.
We need to correct a lot of things on offense, so we need to look good next week against a team that's already beaten us to get our confidence back. This is make it or break it for the big money for Sam Donald. If he plays well and gets the victory, he secured his contract no matter what happens the following week.
You guys gotta stop that young D line.
That and the running game.
If Sam Donald starts getting them happy feet again.
Yep.
It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
So that's pretty much the NFL picture. We got about a half hour left, but what else we got?
Let's see. What can we mess with here? Where you want to go?
I'm gonna go to the NBA because we got a couple of topics in the NBA.
Let's go here.
All right, NBA's hottest teams right now. There's 3 teams. Oh, Charlie's winners.
Vikings, Chargers, Philly, Ravens.
He agrees with me on everything except the Chargers.
That's why you 2 are losers.
They just know you're wrong most of the time. That's why. So in the
It's
NBA,
got to be more because.
no, there's 4 games because there's the Cavs, the Celtics, and OKC. OKC and Cleveland both had 14 and 10 game winning streaks, and the Cavs, this is the second time they've had a winning streak over 10 or more games. They just beat a very hot OKC team, but what people are forgetting is OKC still doesn't have Chet Holmgren and Alex Caruso. When they add them 2 to the lineup in the rotation, that's going to be even more of a problem. Cleveland has been healthy for the first time. They beat OKC the other night with Mitchell not having a great game. He was 3 for 16, and they were able to overcome it because of Darius Garland, Mobley.
They got a nice little team in there.
Yeah, but they played well. They're not dependent on just Mitchell. And the rest of the team stepped up and showed support. And man, right now Cleveland's the #1 seed in the East.
Yeah.
And
They only have like.
in spite of it, I still don't count Boston out.
Wow, Charlie. It just hurt my feelings, bro. They put Danny ahead of me.
Sheesh. Well, Danny's our age, like Charlie's closer to my age than your age.
That's not right. That's not right.
We found our formative years when you were running around in a diaper. Danny was out and about with us. You were the last of the Mohegans. Fool might rank you a little different though, if that means anything. If he's still up there, Fool might rank you a little higher.
Cleveland only has 4 losses.
Yeah, they're like 35 and 4 or something.
32 and 4.
Yeah, and OKC was only 1 game behind them, but just lost to them. OKC's record something like that too.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Okay, 30 and 6.
Yeah, and that's because they just lost last night, so they were 1 game behind them.
Yeah,
overall.
In their last 10 games, are 9 and 1.
Now, Cleveland has played Boston in the midst of both winning streaks. They lost 1 and they won 1. They looked good at Boston Garden when they lost, and they got them in Cleveland. Is Boston fully healthy? Because Porzingis just came back.
Porzingis is back, but
I don't think they're missing it. Brown has taken some time here and there because I know he's had some soreness with something. I don't know if it was a knee or whatever. Well, it could have just been scheduled rest, but he's missed a game or 2.
Yeah, their last 10 games, they're 6 and 4. That's not
Who?
the Celtics.
But they're still the #2 seed.
Yeah, 27 and 10 right now.
Yeah. But how do you see how much of a legit threat do you think Cleveland is to Boston if they both stay healthy? Can they hang with Boston in a 7-game series?
The way it looks right now, yeah. I think the question is, can Boston hang with them right now?
We know Boston can hang with them. If Boston's healthy, Boston's shown that they're the team to beat in the East. So until somebody can prove they can beat them, the thing that might make a difference is if Cleveland can hang on for the home court advantage. Because if Cleveland, that could be as big a factor as anything. Because I see them close now, but I still see Boston as a rank ahead of them. I don't want to say a whole level ahead of them, but because they're the defending champions, until somebody beats them, they have to be considered the #1 seed. But Cleveland wasn't healthy last year.
No.
Mobley never came back. Remember, he said it was a big controversy. When they got him and the other big man, who's the other athletic? Jarrett. What's his name? The other big athletic big man threw alley oops to Jarrett. He came over from the Nets in a trade.
Yeah, like do with the Afro.
Yeah. But when they got him and Mobley together, they both block shots. The difference is Mobley, you can run plays for offensively and opposing. He's good enough to score. He'll give you something on offense too. Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Cleveland stays with their game plan consistently.
So we got Max Strauss, Ty Jerome, Harris, Levert, Evan Mobley.
And Matt Strauss has been playing a little better. It took him a little while to adjust because he came over in free agency, right? Now it seems like he's given him a contribution. He's finally gotten comfortable with Cleveland. Like he figured out his role.
Imani Bates, has he been getting a lot of time?
Splitting back and forth to the D League. I think he's like one of their leading scorers in the D League. Similar to what happened with Reed Shepard. He got sent down recently and he put up a cool 49 points in his first game. 49 points, 9 assists, 5 steals. But there's no playing time in Houston for Reed Shepard. So that's just to get him playing because their guards are.
I know.
They got Van Fleet. They got the off guard that's young, the athletic kid there. But they got some good guys. They got Dylan Brooks over there. So so did you both, even though Cleveland just beat OKC and OKC's not 100% healthy yet, how would you rank those three teams as far as, even though there's two different conferences, 1, 2, and 3?
It would have to go, in my opinion, Cleveland, OKC, and then Celtics, because they both beat the Celtics last time they faced each other.
And the thing is, they're talking about March, but if Holmgren can come back and contribute anything to that team, and they're playing this well without him, and then Caruso's supposed to be real close to coming back.
He's long and he can shoot.
And defense, the blocking shots, he can shoot. He can also drive. He can create his own shot. Right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's my MVP. He's averaging 31 a game, and then he's also. Yeah, but he's doing more because he's almost averaging a triple-double. He's averaging 7 rebounds a game from the point guard spot. He's averaging like 9 assists, and he's one of the leading scorers in the league.
Yeah.
Now, interesting thing in the NBA happened this week. Zion Williamson came back, and first game back, he had a great game. He said he concentrated on keeping his legs in shape during his rehab, so that he won't have the soft tissue injuries. Because every time he gets hurt, anybody who's explosive, running backs, wide receivers, we always see real great athletes, too much pressure on the hamstrings and the quads, and they get those soft tissues, and they don't rehab them enough. Every time Zion's been hurt, it's been the same thing.
He got too much torque for his muscle, for his body. That's what it is, in my opinion.
I agree, Charlie. Until somebody beats them, I think Boston starting 5, and when Porzingis rounds into shape.
Well, we're talking about right now. We're not talking about. I thought we were talking about right now. Not.
No, we are. But Porzingis is playing. But I'm just saying. He said, who would be if you had to rank all 3? Yeah. And I was just like, right now, I think Cleveland, OKC, Boston as well. But going forward, we know OKC can get healthier. We know Boston will gel a little more. They're not going to keep playing bad. You said they're 6-4 in their 10 games. Yeah. I bet you if we come back 10 games from now in 2 weeks, they're not going to be 6-4 again. No. Now, they had a rough stretch, but they did play Cleveland in that stretch. They did play OKC in that stretch. Yeah. And did they lose a game or 2 they shouldn't have lost? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But Boston's not going to be intimidated by nobody, and they got the making of a great team. So we'll see. Will Zion get traded? That's up to par. Along with another NBA friend who's up for trade rumors right now. That's part of our NBA stories as well. I don't know if Zion gets traded unless they can get something, but they said they have to trade either him or Ingram. They're kind of getting each other's way. I'd rather keep Ingram because he stays healthy, and I think you can get more for Zion. Somebody will take the chance. New York really won. New York already got they picked up their free agents with OG Anunoby and the kid Miles Bridges.
A lot of kids from Minnesota. New York? Doesn't he play with New York?
Oh, Cat.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's playing more center, power forward. Zion, I look at as a 3 or 4. But New York signed 2-3 spots last year when they traded for OG Anunoby, and then they signed Miles Bridges. So they got 2 3-and-D guys already that would kind of clog the playing time picture. So I don't think that would happen. But last week we touched on the Jimmy Butler situation because at that point he hadn't demanded a trade, or that's what they were telling us in the media. Well, good old Jimmy got in front of the camera and blew up that spot.
Yeah, this guy's crazy, bro.
And right now,
notice how his braids, like the Dennis Rodman colors and stuff, going crazy with the braids in his
I
hair.
didn't really notice it that much, but
Yeah.
he is now suspended 7 games.
Yep.
For all intents and purposes. I think he's played his last game, even though it's a 7. I think they'll move to trade him in the next 5 days before that suspension's up because he's just dead weight. They're just gonna keep DNPing him until they work out a trade. The funny thing was, now that we know that's imminent, at one time we thought Golden State, Houston, Dallas were the front runners.
Yep.
Golden State has said they're no longer interested. Dallas has said,
hold out, I believe.
Yeah, because the asking price has been too high when they've inquired. Golden State doesn't want to give up all their core. They're willing to give up a little something, but Golden State, to me, makes sense because they have what it takes to go for a championship now, but their core is aging. They've already traded Klay Thompson. Steph's not getting any younger, but he's still playing great. Draymond Green's not getting any younger. They need another veteran who's won before, can go in there and greatly help them, but they'd have to give up Wiggins and Kuminga. And then some people are saying add Podemski in there.
I'm not doing
That's 3 guys who are part of your regular rotation, and now your bench depth really takes a hit.
Not Wiggins and not Kuminga.
You got to keep one of them.
Yeah.
I'd give him a draft pick before I gave him.
Yeah.
I'd give him my number 1 draft pick.
I wouldn't give him number 1 though.
Yeah, because you're renting him because there's no guarantee that you can work out an extension past this year. And Jimmy has said it doesn't matter where he goes. He's opting out because Jimmy only has 1 year left and he wants a 3-year extension so that he can guarantee $50 million a year for another 3 years. But he's 36. Who's giving him 3 years? You're not worth $50 million at 39 years old.
Nothing. He's not worth $50 million at all. How many?
When it comes to playoffs, Jimmy flips a switch. I've seen him carry teams in Miami that I didn't think were as talented. My Bucks found that out. Then they went ahead and beat the Celtics too.
When?
2 years ago.
Exactly.
Right, but Jimmy's not hurt. I don't think his game.
He's old.
I'm not worried about Jimmy this year.
He's getting old.
But he won't. Every year he'll do less and less. But this year he can be what it takes to get another championship in Golden State. But they're saying the asking price is too much.
Yeah, but if you do that trade for Jimmy, you're not going to get to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because, like you said, the asking price is crazy. That's taking away too much. The only way you would do something like that is if you were trying to get rid of all the assets, not trying making the team better. I don't know. I'm not sold on our friend Jimmy.
But San Antonio has emerged, and somebody else in the West. There was another team that just jumped up as far as their interest level. I'm trying to remember who it is. I don't think Houston would give up the core.
Houston is
Jalen Green and all that.
They're second in the West right now.
Yeah, only because of OKC. Oh, Memphis is the other team. They said
Memphis
traded for Marcus Smart. They would say Marcus Smart, which would be a good trade because that helps Miami. It was Marcus Smart and somebody else good for Memphis, Brandon Cook, who's not bad, but he keeps getting hurt. So he's a big, tall guy who can do some work. But Marcus Smart is the caveat in that trade because he can go there and be the man.
The Vikings and Rams officially moved his owner.
Yep. Well, I think that hurts the Rams.
We knew that was going to happen.
I think it's a necessity. You had to take that game out of California.
But
the Chargers are lucky they didn't have a home game.
But that sucks for Vikings fans as well because how far away is Arizona to LA?
I think it's 3 hours. It's only like an hour and a half on the flight, or 3 hours driving, or 5 hours driving, or 3.5. Because I know people who have. Oh no, that was Vegas. That's that close.
Vegas.
Yeah, Arizona's a little close. Arizona, it's doable. They can drive, but it's
about to stay.
Huh?
It's a Monday night game.
A Monday night game. People probably have already made arrangements to be in LA for
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leave on Monday. Now, I don't know if they can reschedule those flights, but now they have to get from LA another expense to get to Arizona. Hope that there's going to be hotels
And you
available.
gotta ride, and you gotta, hopefully there's, well, I'm sure there'll be cars available, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah, so we'll see. But what do you think about that proposed trade? Because Memphis has sneakily been good, and Ja Morant's hurt, and they always hold it down when Ja's not there. But when Ja comes back, they still got Jared,
Jalen, Jefferson, is it
Jaren Jackson.
Jackson.
Yep, and they still got there's a third guy on that team that's playing well, Zach Edey, the big man, and then you could add a Jimmy Butler to play. Maybe he can, between him and Ja Morant, when Ja Morant gets healthy.
But there's that if factor, if they can play together, because they kind of.
And do they want to give away Marcus Smart for 1 year, because we don't know if he's going to sign long term in Memphis?
Yeah.
So whoever does it, it all depends. But I thought that was interesting because from Miami's point of view, that would be good because Marcus Smart will be around for a little while and he'd help them. But I don't know if you want to, if it's more than Marcus Smart and Brandon Cook, I don't know. I wouldn't include no draft picks because Jimmy can bolt right after that and go wherever he wants.
Exactly. I don't think I would do it.
And I don't think the Lakers would love to do it, but I don't think that. They'd have to give up Rui, and they'd have to give up Austin Reeves, and same thing we just said. It's gonna reduce your depth. So now you get your starting five looks good, but then when it comes time to go to the bench, you're gonna look around and see a bunch of people that haven't played before this year. Jimmy to Memphis seems better, yes. But at what price? Because Jimmy has also told everybody who will listen, Charlie, that I'm looking for an extension. And if Memphis can't re-sign him, you can't give up 2 or 3 people that are part of your rotation and a draft pick for a half a year's chance. Because even if they get him, do they jump over Houston and do they jump over OKC in the West? And then you got Dallas right behind them. And the West is tough. That doesn't guarantee that they'll be in a better position.
Even with Jimmy in Memphis and Ja healthy, they're not better than OKC in my opinion. OKC is that young, tough. Even like right now, Houston's playing well. They got a young team and they're gelling. So I don't know, man.
So out of those scenarios we mentioned, Memphis, if Golden State was able to work out, maybe they soften their stance on what they want in return from.
If Golden State has to give up what you said, that's not gonna help.
But what if Miami says, okay, we'll take 2 of them?
And which 2?
What if it's Podemska and I don't think you let Kuminga go no matter what. But Kuminga plays the same position as Jimmy, and that would be insurance in case Jimmy decides to bolt. So I would have to give up Wiggins, but Wiggins is the veteran stability. But Wiggins is not going to be around. He's getting a little long in the tooth. How much will he be part of the future plans of?
Just as much as Jimmy. He's younger than Jimmy.
I like that Memphis deal, but I think it's short-minded because it only helps you right now unless Jimmy comes back. Because at the end of this year, you could potentially be without Jimmy, without Brandon Cook, and without Marcus Smart. Now, you lost three players in that scenario, and you're not going to get 3 players of that quality in 1 year. Yeah, you can go out and get somebody in free agency, but you're probably not going to draft too high because you're going to be really good with Jimmy Butler. So how much of a chance would Memphis have? Would they overtake Houston or challenge OKC if they got Jimmy Butler?
I don't think so. In my opinion.
So for that reason, I don't know if I would make that particular trade because I can hold on to those other 2 guys.
They got to get rid of Jimmy.
Yeah, but it all depends on the asking price. Miami has to soften the stance. And I think that's why I think Golden State will get back in the picture, because Golden State backed out before Jimmy made these before Miami was making these demands, because people didn't think that they had to trade Jimmy. Now that people know they got to trade Jimmy, they're going to be like, well, what are you going to do? Sit back and have nothing? Miami can still be, I think they're still in the playoff picture. I forgot where they're seated in the East, but they still got a chance.
Miami is 7.
So they're in the mix. But if they don't get a decent return back for Jimmy, how much ground are they going to lose? They can go from 7th to 12th in a week if they can't win no games without Jimmy. Yeah. They got to build everything around Tyler Hero and Bam. Those are their two. But if they can get Marcus Smart to play the point alongside Hero, they bring defense and toughness. Somebody who can run the point, as long as Marcus don't try to play hero ball like he did in Boston.
Yeah,
that was Boston's downfall of getting the championship early. Randall ain't working in Minnesota. Can he go back there? No, he burned his bridges everywhere he went. He'll never go back to Minnesota. Chicago would be the only place he could go back to. But he can't go back there. And where else did he burn his bridges? Philly.
Yeah, Philly.
Because he was mad that Philly kept Tobias Harris instead of paying him.
Right.
So, I don't know. Anybody else got any suggestions? I kind of like the idea of Memphis, but not if they got to give up both players, because I still don't know if that makes them stronger than Houston right now. And I can't see Houston breaking up that core, because somebody's going to want Sagoon.
If I'm Houston,
Jalen Green's having a great year, and he's 22 years old.
If I'm Houston, I don't trade none of them kids. Let them kids grow together, and then.
You know what I might do? No, because it would be similar. Who did we say just got sent down to the D League?
That kid from
Reed Shepard, because he can't break their rotation. I said he could probably go play, but he'd have to play point guard, because I was thinking he's an off guard, but they got Hero playing the off guard, and he's pretty set there. But can Reed Shepard handle the point? Because I know he was a great shooter, but they had him and Dillingham switching off handling the ball when they were at Kentucky.
Yeah.
But if Reed Shepard can play the point, that could be a nice little backcourt with him and Hero, two Kentucky guys.
Yeah.
And then you got Bam down low. It's just that without Jimmy being a go-to guy, Hero and Bam have to grow up and show they can be go-to guys. But they can add a free agent next year. Detroit can do it. Come on, he ain't going to Detroit, Charlie. Detroit's having a decent year, but they just lost Ivy, their young guy who's averaging 17 a game. By the way, the Notre Dame coach's son. You know, but she didn't take that job because she wanted to follow her son in college until he got to the pros. And then when he got drafted, that's when she took that job 2 years ago. Go, I want Shepard.
I think you said no.
I wouldn't be afraid to try Reed Shepard, because he had a great summer league. He was their leading scorer in their summer league ball.
Yeah.
He only played as a freshman at Kentucky. He has so much youth and in the ability to get better, and the potential with him. He'll be around a lot longer than Jimmy Butler at a lot cheaper price. He's on a rookie contract right now. He was the number 4 pick or number 5 pick overall in the draft, something like that.
Yeah.
But you can see what you got in him and build in the future and have your backcourt set. Bam's young. Now you can go out and get a veteran free agent right before the trade deadline. And maybe Miami's back in the mix 7th, or maybe they move up a little better, depending on, they need a small forward, because Bam's a center or power forward, and then their guards would be set with Shepard. And so that's what I would do with Houston, is I'd ask for him, and Houston got a shitload of draft picks. They still got a ton of draft picks. You take one of their number ones. I'm telling you, they got like 2 number ones this year, 2 number ones next year. Take one of their number 1 draft picks and take Reed Shepard. Now you don't deplete, your young core that's already there. And you got a coach who might be able to control him. Would he respect Ime? Because Ime's got them young boys playing. You don't want to disrupt that, but if you bring them in, you're going to be like, hey, y'all can be a complimentary piece.
Ime is the man.
Yeah.
The G League assignment allows teams to grab Shepard.
He's on a 2-way contract,
Yeah,
but they still own the rights to him.
yeah, you can't just
I think they have to send him down there for more than 10 days or something like that. He might just go down there to get playing time. They bring him back up. They can play that yo-yo game and keep other teams from getting him. But that's not necessarily a guarantee. If he stays down there long enough, then other teams can grab him. Because if that was the case, the kid in Boston, who the athletic point guard, Davison, he's been down in the G League averaging 25 a game for 2-3 years, and nobody's grabbed him. I'm sure he could get an opportunity for somebody besides the Celtics if that's the case. And he's played the majority of his career in the G League.
He's super athletic.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be interesting. And I think by the time we come back next week, Jimmy Butler will have a new home.
Yeah, the G League. Imagine that.
That would never happen. But I think Miami's going to take less, and that might bring Golden State back to the table. That might bring Dallas back. I heard San Antonio, but San Antonio wants to build for the future, and they're probably going to lose Chris Paul. They already got one aging superstar. Why bring another one in if you have to give up somebody like Vassell, who's playing well for them? You know, they got him and Paul, and they got Wemby, but that would stunt the growth of.
Well, Charlie said Wemby and what's your boy, the lefty from
the UConn kid?
No.
Somebody from San Antonio?
No, the kid that got hurt.
Who
was hurt? Ah, shit. We were just talking about they were trading them.
San Antonio?
No, to San Antonio.
Jimmy Butler's the only one I talked about getting traded to San Antonio today.
No, Charlie did. Charlie said something.
Right,
I know. The lefty kid that jumps through was always hurt.
Zion?
Zion. I think he'd be good in San Antonio.
Small market again. That's why he got to get out of New Orleans. That's a bigger market than San Antonio. But I don't think the endorsement deals are there for him because it's a small market and Wemby's already going to get the #1 billing for the endorsement deals. Yeah.
Are you worried about the market or are you worried about winning?
You can't win if you can't stay on the court. And so far, Zion hasn't shown he can stay on the court. So what's the sense of trading him if he's – and then you're going to have to give up assets to get him, considerable assets. He was the #1 pick overall.
Yeah, that's Charlie. Zion. Thank you, buddy.
So do we got anything else in the way of news this week before we head out? Just real quick, in the women's basketball game, it's gotten so competitive. There were some other marquee matchups this week, but unfortunately, there was a couple of big injuries, one significant and one scary. Paige Beckers avoided major injury with a sprained knee, but when she went down, everybody's first thought was, there goes UConn season again. She's only going to miss these 2 games this week. They already won last week. They already won yesterday against one of the teams they played because they're on their Big East schedule now, and they don't have the tough part of their schedule. They're not playing nobody. And Ozzie Fudd had a huge game yesterday. They blew him out, but she had 18 points, but she had the majority of them in the first half. But down in South Carolina, is her last name Wilson? The big girl that got the dunk.
I'm not sure.
But she's blown out her knee and she's gone for the rest of the year, and we don't know when she'll be back or if she'll be back in time for the start of next year. But she's gone for the year. She won't play in the summer, so she won't be able to work on her game. Now, she comes off the bench, but the way South Carolina is, they've never been dependent on one girl. They're like a system. She's a key cog in the system, but the fact that she got hurt is really a downer. But between her and Paige Beckers, that was a real scare. And then in Rutgers, we were looking forward to a big showdown. That girl with the handle for Rutgers, something happened behind the scenes. She got suspended for that game, and she missed the matchup with Juju. Because, as you know, USC is now in the Big Ten. Rutgers is in the Big Ten. That game was in New Jersey, and that was going to be a huge game. And, the fans of women's basketball were robbed of a great matchup because I know I was looking forward to that game. I wanted to see them two go back and forth. So, we'll see what happens with that. But The NFL playoffs are going to be big. We're going to keep an eye on that Jimmy Butler situation. So, by the time we're back here next week, there should be a few more storylines that are developing a little more than, that will be worthy of talking about. Any other stories you think will be hot topics?
Playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoff, college, and
Yeah, this game on tonight.
Notre Dame and Penn State.
Oh, we got to get out of here then.
Yes, sir.
And who did you take in that game?
Penn State.
And I took Notre Dame.
It's 0-0 right now.
But they were saying they were leaning on Abdul Kader not playing. That's big because they're saying he's a generational pass rusher. He's a game changer. And that's why they were talking about he could be the first defensive player off the board because defensive ends on a rookie contract that can come in and play right away. He's that good. And he's in the mode of a Parsons and other great defensive ends that have come out of that school. So we'll have to keep an eye on that story because if they can get by tonight's game, I think he'll come back and play in the championship because that'll be another 2 weeks or whatever, right?
I'm not sure when the national.
Or at least another week off because there's 2 games today and tomorrow, and then they got at least a week off.
One game.
No, there's 1 game today, 1 game tomorrow. But I'm saying there's 2 games between today and tomorrow because they're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
But then I think it's a week from Monday night. That the championship's always on Monday night. So if they keep that format, it'll be a week from Monday night. So they'll have about another 10 days. So if he doesn't play at all and he's close, I think, but I'm going, whether he was there or not, I'm going with, because I didn't see Penn State be able to step up and beat the big teams in that always give them a hassle on their schedule. They didn't have too many signature wins, but Notre Dame, outside of stubbing their toe, they didn't play a great schedule, but they looked really, really good in these playoffs. Yeah. And their running back was cleared to play. So I'm going to say Notre Dame close. They playing in the warm weather area?
Yeah. Orangeville, I believe.
Oh.
Miami.
Okay. I was just hoping the game wasn't in Cali somewhere. Only because, who knows? But we would have heard more about that. So OSU, that's tomorrow night against Texas.
I'm with you on that one, Charlie.
So once again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, showing that support. Just before we sign out, WMB1 will resume our comedy series on February 1st, so we're about 3 weeks out. We got Kenny Williams headlining and Peaches Rodriguez featuring. And we got our man Chris Tabb hosting. That's going to be a hell of a show because all 3 are going to be worth the price of admission. Tickets are now available on WMB1.com, or you can always call me. My number's on the flyer, and I'll make sure that we drop off those tickets, no matter where you are, work, home, just anywhere that's not outside in the 8-degree weather where I can stand around and wait for you to pull up to a tree or something. But anywhere else, I'll deliver the tickets, So anything you want to add before we close off, Decon?
Nah, man, just
And you got Penn State tonight, right? So I'm going to call you on it next week.
Penn State, yes.
I don't trust their quarterback. I think he's a little overrated. But they do have a running game.
So they live off their run.
All right. So until next week, guys, we're going to say peace out. And, we'll check you out next Thursday. Thanks for tuning in.
With the guys that we have on right now, why don't you just let them know about the little playoff fantasy thing there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, one thing that we're doing, for all you guys that play fantasy football season is not over. Every year we do playoffblitz.com fantasy format. And right now, I posted it on Facebook. If you're interested, the scoring and the setup is exactly the same as regular fantasy, but you can only use players from teams on playoff teams, and you can only use every player one time. It is a pool. Right now, we have 25 people that are already signed up. Last year, we ended up with 30, 32, $50 a team, and we have like 6 cash prizes for the top 6 finishes. So pretty good chance that you can, you have a chance to play and at least get your money back or win some money. But you can only use each player once, and you got to be strategic because you got to predict who's going to be there in the Super Bowl. Because we've had teams lose that were dominating, but they used both quarterbacks in the Super Bowl and had no quarterback. So, take a look. Go to playoffblitz.com, look around in the settings, see if you like the format.
Go to Steve's page.
It's on the page.
Right on Steve's page. It's very interesting. It keeps you entertained for every game.
It's like playing in 4 fantasy leagues at a time because if you got 10 teams in each league, we got 4 fantasy teams combining all their playoffs, and we're looking for more.
It's really cool, man.
And it's more fun with the more teams we have. So we're hoping to get to 40 teams right now. I know we're at 25 before the show, and I know I got 4 more definites that are definitely coming in, but they're waiting until Friday because it's payday, so they haven't signed into the league yet. But we're pretty close to 30 now. I'd like to see us get to another 10 teams. Thanks for reminding me, Derek.
Yes, sir.
Derek's not going to be winning any money, but me, on the other hand,
I think I won money last year.
Did you?
Yeah. I think I did.
Maybe. I know 2 years ago I won it.
That was before.
My boy Big, who won who lost to Damon in our league, he won it last year. And but hey, it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But go to the Facebook page, go to my page. You can click on the link, and all the rules are up there. So before you do anything, and once you enter, just put a little note in the DM saying, hey, because I won't know a name of your team. Everybody got these crazy names like I love Big TDs or something like that. They all got these names.
Who got 2 CDs? Who named that?
I don't know, man. There'd be somebody like, oh, you didn't enter yet?
Yeah, that's mine.
Oh, okay. No, because there was somebody in another league that had a name like that in one of the fantasy leagues. In Kevin Daniels' league, that was his name.
Oh, really?
Fantasy.
That was mine, and I didn't see the shit.
But I didn't know if you were aware of each other.
No.
Yeah, Charlie, I don't know. Take a look at it. I think Charlie played last year. I don't know if his team's in it because it usually has some Patriots name. But he might be protesting Patriots stuff because what they did to Jared Mayo. So he might not be using it.
Hey, I got a good name for you, Charlie. Throw out the mail.
The Real Charlie Podcast team.
All right, man.
All right, we're out of here so we can go home and enjoy this game tonight. We'll see you guys all again next Thursday.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.